Well, hello. So it is um, almost February 20th. It's a few minutes shy of February 20th Pacific time. I'm really getting behind on these videos, so I got to catch up. So what I wanted to talk about today on this particular episode is um, the results of Amadeus's um, site cytopsy, I think is what they called it. So he has these. So Amadeus gets these growths on his body that are um, basically cysts of some kind, and or yeah, cysts of some kind. And I don't know if they're. I was told early in his life that they were just little cysts, like little pockets that built up, and not to worry about them because they weren't super consequential. However, now we're, at a point where he's, 9+ years old, approaching 9.5 years old. His body's changing as he becomes more geriatric. And so it wasn't yesterday. It was, actually, let's see, was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. It was the day before yesterday, because I was actually going to do a video about it on Sunday. So on Sunday, they contacted us or contacted me rather, and told me that one of the cysts they had done a cytopsy on was had three potential options of what was going on. They said it could either be that it was just a buildup in that area, kind of the fleshy mass that builds up in that area, just as a result of an injury that happened. He might have gotten a cut or a bruise or something, and it just kind of grew a little mass there and became a little cyst or area on his body, a little harder area on his body because of that, and that could be the problem. The second potential, which was two of three, which is that it could be a cyst caused by a tumor of some kind, and the tumor could either be benign, which obviously is the better option because if it's a benign, it means it's non-cancerous, or it could be malignant, which means it's cancerous of some kind. Determining what kind of cancer it is, if it is a cancer, is a whole other process. But just to figure out whether or not actually it is a cancer, or what the type of tumor is, they took the cytopsy, but they said they couldn't tell me any more than that. They said that there was some blood cells in it, but it didn't really give them a conclusion that they could offer me. So what they suggested is they could remove the cyst and then send it off for evaluation. And obviously that would be a pretty intensive thing, especially because in this case, the cyst is on one of his joints, on the joint of one of his arms, his legs. So that could be, it's a little more invasive to try and remove something like that. So the doctor who told me about this, Dr. Mayberry, who was the one who was the physician who handled his service the other day, she said she didn't feel comfortable doing one like that because it's in such a compromising or invasive place on his body. So she would have to see if the other vet at her location of PetSmart would be willing to do something like that, because she didn't feel comfortable doing it. If they do it there, she said it's around $1,200. She called me back with a quote and said around $1,200. She said they could bring in a specialist to do it, and if a specialist came in to do it, that it would be $2,000 to $3,000. Well, I'm not really sure I trust what they're saying one way or another, because they charged me $210 just to try and do an evaluation, and came back, well, it could be this or that. You didn't need to do an evaluation to figure out that. You could have said that from the beginning. It could have been one of these three things. I mean, so really, it was like I gave them $210 for nothing, because they didn't really give me anything more than saying, well, there's little cells inside of the mast. Well, you knew that was going to be there no matter what. So it's a little infuriating. They're charging for that, and it's a little irritating. I don't trust doctors in so many ways. I've kind of already talked about this, but I feel like there's no cures and there's no money in cures, and they get more money if they charge you more money to try and get you for something that they can try and make money off of. Patient care is not the primary thing anymore. It's about how financially we're going to benefit from it, because I guess they figure everybody's going to get sick in some way, and if we can make money off of, you know, sickness, then we're better off, which is why there should be no money in medicine. There should be no major financial gain in medicine. It should be just like politics. Those types of industries should be completely based off of generosity and care. They talk about how, you know, everybody deserves health care, but they want to overpay these people for these kinds of things, which should be humanitarian. So that's why I don't trust doctors. And they want to remove the mask. And then Marie mentioned to me the other day, which I think was a very reasonable statement. She said, you know, well, if they do a procedure, you know, if it is cancerous, it could cause it to spread. Because once they start messing with things like that, if it is a cancerous tumor, operating on things like that and going under, you know, anesthetic and starting the process of messing with things like that can actually cause it to spread, which is true. I hadn't even thought about that because I was so irritated with the other stuff, but no, it was her point. I'm going to give Marie credit for mentioning that because she deserves it. Then Marie recommended, well, what if couldn't they do an MRI? Because an MRI would be less invasive and it probably wouldn't be as expensive, and they should be able to tell if it's a tumor, if it's a malignant or a benign tumor, because they do that with human beings. So we're going to look at that option, see if we can find an oncologist and see if we can get someone. I am going to get a second opinion. We're getting ready to move over to the new apartment in 10 days from today. So I'm going to go over there and see if we can potentially get another opinion about the situation before we actually take any action, because that's really a huge, whether we want to spend the money or I want to spend the money on doing something like removing something like this, when it could be that it maybe it'll be done with an MRI. So anyways, I think that's my biggest concern right now with Deus, and I'm very frustrated with medicine at this point, especially Western medicine. You know, I know there's medicine in other parts of the world as well, and there's money being made in certain parts of medicine, but I just don't trust so much Western medicine. That's why I don't take medicine. A lot of people who know me know I don't like to take medicines. I feel like, you know, all those things that they put in their chemicals, they can damage your body. I feel like they can hurt you. I feel like they're not meant to try and, you know, make your life better. I feel like they're, in so many ways, just trying to make money off of you. Well, I can take care of your sickness, your cold, and all those things that you take. Those don't help to stop symptoms. They help to numb them so that you don't recognize they're still there. But that's not really a solution. That's not really a health resolution. That's numbing it until your body processes it out. So it really is about your body resolving itself and protecting itself. And all these other medicines, NyQuil and this and that, all they do is relieve the symptoms. They don't stop the condition. They don't resolve the condition. All these medicines are meant to do in some kind of a way. Anti-inflammatories can work, but what are the costs of the side effects of those anti-inflammatories? That's the problem. So I'm really frustrated with the medical industry in whole. I feel like I know the people working within it have the best intentions, but it's not just about them. It's about the people who are creating rules, creating regulations for it, who are creating the financial incentives for recommending or referring or prescribing drugs. And they're just not looking for solutions. They're not looking for solutions because solutions don't have any long-term capital gains to them. And unfortunately, that's what these companies want, is long-term financial gains. And yes, they answer to stockholders, but at the top of the ladder is them, the ones who financially gain the most and have the most influence and power. And medicine should not have that. Medicine and politics should not have that kind of influence and power, nor should media. So there's three areas I'm really annoyed by: media, politics, media, and medicine. They should not have the kind of power that they have. I mean, it really is, in some ways, they prescribe things that can do harm when the motto for, or the motto for medicine, or the Hippocratic Oath, is supposed to be do no harm. And it's just disappointing and a little frustrating to me, because I want to care for Deus, but I feel like I don't know who is really sincerely being honest and who sincerely is just trying to, satisfy the boxes they're supposed to check for their, clinic or whatever else. I remember Anthony Robbins talking years ago about Anthony Robbins. If you don't know who that is, he's been called a guru, but he's a motivational speaker. And he talked years ago about how he has a tumor in his brain. And when he found out he had a tumor in his brain that was causing his, that impacted his, I can't remember what part of his brain it was reacting, but it was causing pressure on his brain that caused him to have larger hands, larger feet, to be a bigger person. I don't think it's Gigantor syndrome or whatever it's called, but it was a condition he had, and they wanted to do, a procedure on his brain, and they told him that yes, it could affect his, his mind and how it works, because they're operating on his brain. And he said, and they said it would leave pressure on his brain, but there were other potential, that it wasn't going to kill him, but it was like a present that was impacting his body in some way, but not to the point where it was going to kill him. But doctors wanted to operate on it and do things like that. And he said that he eventually talked to a doctor, and this doctor said, well, I don't, this isn't a dangerous tumor. It's not going to kill you or anything like that. And he said, well, why are all these doctors wanting to, do these, you're the only doctor who's told me that you don't need to operate. Well, why are you telling me this versus all these other people telling me that they need to operate? And he said, well, look, I'm a doctor. If you tell me, it's like a butcher. A butcher's meant to cut meat. If you tell me, a doctor, I want to operate. That's kind of my thing, is to operate. That's my default training, is to operate. And see, that's the thing with these medicine, a lot of these doctors and everything now, is their default is to prescribe medication. Instead of to look for natural approaches to resolution or whatever else, they want to operate. They want to operate, they want to medicate, they want to sedate, they want to numb you to the point where you're not you anymore. Your body doesn't react the same way. It has long-term damages to other parts of your body, because no matter what you are prescribed, there is virtually no chemical compound medicine that's out there that you may be prescribed that doesn't have some kind of a side effect. Some side effects aren't as severe, but some side effects are more severe than the symptoms they're trying to relieve. So you have to be very aware of it. It's very scary, and it's a very unnerving time when it comes to medicine, because I feel like medicine has been corrupted to the point where it's hard to get to the truth, and it's hard to find people who are willing to be focused more on the truth and the patient care than they are on, checking the boxes of what they're supposed to do in medicine. So my medicine is no longer a free-thinking approach. Now it's an approach to checking boxes. And unfortunately, that's a scary thing. There's no one, creative thinking, and I don't mean, just off the cuff creative thinking, but I mean There's no creative, what's the word I'm looking for? Creative problem solving, or the word is not creative. It's oh, I hate it when my vocabulary fails me. But it's no longer about trying to problem solve and find solutions, that don't cause potential more harm to the patient. It's just about those boxes now. And it's a scary thing for people, for pets, for, the world, that we're just checking boxes, especially when it comes to medicine now, instead of really trying to resolve issues. This is why blindness hasn't been resolved. This is why cancer, while it could have been cured years ago, I have no doubt they don't want to cure cancer. There's no money in cures for cancer. Don't be fooled by this whole idea that they want to cure cancer. The people who are on the ground pushing and trying to resolve it, they want solutions. But Big Pharma does not want a solution to cancer. Do you know how much money they would lose if they got rid of cancer, heart disease, all that? Do you know how much money there would be? There'd be no more of it. There'd be no financial gain in it anymore. And those are the driving things. Epilepsy, diabetes, all these things. If they didn't, it's in our food as much as it's in anything else. That's why people are getting more and more diabetic, because it's in our food now. Our food system has it. The FDA is Food and Drug Administration. Keep that in mind. Food and drug. Why are they both together? They should be totally disassociated from each other. But that's just where we are in the world now. And unfortunately, it would take a massive reset to stop this kind of insanity and this kind of abuse of power. But it's scary times, and it scares me because I really want to take care of my puppy and love him and make sure he's happy. He deserves that kind of a life, but I also don't want to, submit him to invasive procedures. I don't want to do anything that's going to cause him to get sicker. I need to be better about looking for alternative healing methods that are not based around, laboratory approaches, and that are more natural, probably for him as well as for my own life as well. All right, so that's for this video, what I wanted to talk about. It's very important. Please make sure you're not just checking the boxes or following the boxes they check for you. Make sure they're doing, logical problem solving to try and help to resolve issues with your health, and with your pets and with your family, everybody who's important to you, every life that's important to you. Try not to just fall into letting them prescribe things that ultimately can have long-term damage on your liver, your kidneys, your heart, whatever it may be. So take care of yourself. God bless. And I will see you in the next video. Be well.